We have our final presentation tonight. Last night we had all 9 teams present. We'll call dress rehearsal, if you will, and after which we have a panel of 8 or 10 folks who, after that, decide who we think the winner is, if you will. And Professor Armstrong, you've been in those conversations many times, and it's never easy. We think, oh, this is a slam dunk, we'll be out of here in 5 minutes. You know, then it's like thank goodness we're not on a jury, because you might send the wrong people away. But we did, I think, a good job of walking through each one of them. And as often is the case, it's an embarrassment of riches, the quality of the students. So we settle on one phenomenal team. As you saw in many presentations, many phenomenal teams, yes? Really great job. Really great job. Really great job. So we have Thales as our final presenter. So what does a company to do with unused equipment? Well, our team collaboration will tell us about that here, and we'll have a few Q&As after, and then we'll have poster presentation, which is just a couple minutes, and then our speaker, and then we'll bid you goodnight. Thales.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. This semester we worked with Thales Defense and Security to establish an equipment evaluation and disposition process. So to start off, I would like to introduce Team Collaboration.
I'm Adam.
I'm Ashray.
I'm Griffin.
And I'm Nikita. So with our presentation today, we will be going over the project background, talking about our approach and our recommendations, discussing the impact of our project, and finally our implementation plan for Thales. So to start off with our project background, Thales Defense and Security provides mission-critical solutions to the commercial, federal, and defense markets. It has been an industry leader as it's focused on technology as well as innovative solutions. In order to serve its 5 core markets, Thales' lab engineers utilize test equipment, which is routinely used to perform certain tasks or services. Now, with this test equipment goes through a life cycle, starting from acquisition and also goes through calibration. However, there is no formal decision-making process on what to do with the equipment that is defective or just no longer used. Right now, there's just one employee that evaluates each piece of equipment on a case-by-case basis, but there's no actual decision made regarding what to do with this equipment. Additionally, there are no current disposition options for the equipment specifically for selling. While Thales is interested in selling some of this equipment, they do not have any existing partnerships. These two have led to accumulative equipment and storage. This storage room is filled with equipment that is not in use or defective, and in the past 6 years, only one piece of equipment has been donated. Now, to really understand the problem at large, our team conducted a data analysis and found out that 40% of the test equipment is not in use, and this equipment is valued at $10 million. This really emphasized to the team that having this equipment is a waste for Thales because this equipment still has monetary value, leading the team to create our goal, which is to establish and implement a test equipment process where we can evaluate the equipment as well as for disposition so Thales can get monetary returns for this equipment that's not in use. And now I'd like to pass it off to Adam to talk about our recommendations for the decision-making process.
Thanks, Nikita. So for the decision-making process, we came up with metrics to evaluate this equipment on. On the quantitative side, we want to evaluate the equipment on how often the equipment is used, whether or not that equipment is depreciated, and the current status of that equipment. On the qualitative side, we want to look at things like how hard that equipment would be to replace if needed, if there's something at Thales that could perform the same or similar functions of this particular asset, and lastly, if that sale price that Thales expects to get for it is going to be worth it for them to go through with the sale process. So taking these metrics, our team built a Python script for Thales to use as frequently as they need to produce outputs for equipment that they should consider to sell. Here's how the script works. The script first takes in all of the equipment that Thales has in their labs. It then makes sure that equipment is test equipment. We only want to be looking at test equipment for Thales as they have a wide range of other assets as well. Of this test equipment, we need to make sure it's been fully depreciated outside of a 5-year window as to when Thales had originally acquired it, as within that 5-year window, they do not want to consider it for sale. Next are the user-defined variables. The user-defined variables are the status codes of interest as well as the threshold of calibration date. So how long it's gone since it's last been calibrated. Lastly, we want to make sure the equipment has not been exempt by Thales on a prior run of the script, so it's not showing up time after time if Thales has said, no, we don't want to sell it. So let me tell you how this fits in with our overall proposed process. The process starts as such. Thales, on a quarterly basis at the beginning, will upload two things. First, an export of their JIRA tracking system, which is what Thales uses to track their equipment on a daily basis, as well as information from the Thales financial department about this equipment. They will then run the script, as I previously mentioned. When they run the script will come with two outputs. The first output will be a CSV file of all the equipment Thales should consider with all of the data that went into the script, as Thales needs to reference something in the future. More importantly, a meeting-ready output, as shown above, with the most important information in a readable and presentable format. This meeting-ready output will be brought to a meeting where Thales will go through our guided discussion criteria to consider the qualitative factors that the script could not incorporate. From this discussion, after each asset has been considered by our stakeholders, they will arrive at a decision. That decision will be with one of three things. Thales will either decide to sell, store, or repair the equipment. If Thales decides to sell the equipment, I'm going to hand it off to Astrid to talk more about the options Thales has for that process.
Thank you, Adam. So as you've heard, we are dealing with a two-part problem. While the team was able to find a solution for the problem of not having a formal decision-making process, the problem of not having an existing option for selling equipment remains. And this leads us back to the main issue of accumulation of equipment in storage. So how did the team tackle the issue of disposition options? Well, since our main goal was to save money, the team looked to selling. First, the team created criteria to streamline the companies that we initially researched. And this was through criteria such as whether they accepted defective equipment, as well as whether they seemed credible. Next, we continued our research and compiled a list of companies to contact. Those lists of companies were then sent an itemized list of equipment, which was made from our financial and inventory data provided by Thales. Next, from those lists of equipment, the companies then sent us a quote which we analyzed for total sales as well as average return rate. Lastly, the team used a decision matrix in order to compare those companies and come up with our recommended companies for Thales to partner with. So moving on to our primary recommendation for companies to partner with is EquipNet. EquipNet has multiple selling options and has the second largest average return rate. Our alternative recommendations are Electrorent and AccuSource. So Electrorent actually provided us with one of the highest return rates. However, upon discussion, there's actually some risk with partnering with Electrorent because of the way they operate, in the sense that they are not a direct buyer. AccuSource, however, was able to, AccuSource has an expected increase of around 25% in total sales after inspection. However, they actually provided us with one of the lowest bid offers compared to other companies. So while there were some risks with partnering with these buyers, we deemed the risk to be minimum, leading them to still be alternative recommendations as well as good short-term partners. So moving on to our primary recommendation, EquipNet, they provided us with a minimum and maximum bid offer, which leads us to the number of 6% for average return rate, as well as a total sales of around $129,000. We expect this number to increase around 30% after inspection. A unique aspect of EquipNet is also their brokerage model, which would provide Thales with future disposition options such as consignment and